The day the human ambassador stepped into the luminous throne hall of the Orion Empire, no one expected the course of an entire star system to shift. The hall glowed with crystalline pillars that emitted soft currents of light, and every guard who stood along the walls tightened their posture as the human approached the main dais. For many cycles, the Orions had viewed humans as a curious but unremarkable species. They were creative, adaptable, and often stubborn, yet they lacked the radiant abilities that defined the Empire's greatest champions. That was why the Queen had agreed to the political marriage with calm confidence. She believed the union would stabilize half the frontier. She believed it would be symbolic. She believed the human groom was harmless. His name was Rowan. He wore a simple ceremonial suit, dark and neatly pressed, and he moved with measured respect. The Queen watched him with a reserved expression. Her own presence filled the hall. She wore a mantle of living light that drifted like flowing water behind her. Her skin held a subtle shine, and her eyes reflected the hall's glow in shifting shades of pale blue. She had ruled for many years, and she considered herself almost impossible to surprise. Rowan stopped at the base of the dais and offered a respectful bow. The Queen studied him with a sense of mild curiosity. He was not tall compared to most Orions, yet something in his stance radiated steadiness. His dark eyes held quiet awareness. He carried no weapon. He carried no shield. He carried no sign of power. That was why the Queen felt completely certain about the harmlessness of the marriage treaty. It was a seal of alliance. Nothing more. The ceremonial guests filled the hall. Ambassadors from nearby systems, nobles from the Queen's council, and human envoys watched the scene with hope. The Empire had recently faced unrest near the border. Rogue factions had begun raiding the outlying worlds. A strategic union with humanity promised shared defense and renewed stability. The Queen had agreed without hesitation. Humans were reliable allies, and the groom chosen by their council was said to be honorable and calm. The Queen raised her staff of light, and the hall grew quiet. Rowan lifted his gaze to meet hers. She noticed a glimmer in his expression that she had not seen earlier, a subtle strength, a calm that ran deeper than formality. She brushed the thought away. He was human. The ceremony would be peaceful. She began the binding vow. Her voice carried through the hall like a flowing current. She spoke of unity. She spoke of cooperation. She spoke of peace. Then the hall trembled. At first, the vibration was faint, like a distant drumbeat. Several guards stepped forward. Rowan looked up sharply. The lights along the pillars flickered. The Queen lowered her staff and narrowed her gaze. She felt the air inside the hall tighten. A surge of unfamiliar energy approached from above. A blast struck the outer shield. The entire hall shook. Alarm chimes echoed through the corridors. Crystals along the walls dimmed. Guards drew their weapons of refracted light. The Queen turned to her advisor, who sprinted toward the control station at the far side of the hall. "Unidentified fleet?" the advisor shouted. They breached the outer perimeter. Another explosion rattled the hall. The Queen's calm expression hardened. She activated the defensive barrier around the dais. Blue light shimmered into place. She signaled to Rowan to stay within its protection. He did not move. His eyes scanned the ceiling as energy rippled through the palace structure. The guests whispered in growing fear. A third blast struck, stronger than the last. The ceiling fractured. A section of crystalline plates shattered, and armed raiders descended through the breach with heavy armor that pulsed with stolen power. Their leader landed near the center of the hall and pointed a weapon at the Queen. The guards rushed forward, but a wave of unstable energy pushed them back. The raiders activated dampening fields that disrupted the Orion's radiant abilities. Their light-based defenses flickered and destabilized, The queen gripped her staff. She tried to summon a protective surge, but the dampening field warped the energy, forcing her to take a defensive stance instead. For the first time in many cycles, she felt her power constrained. She held her composure, but she knew the threat was severe. These raiders had been hiding in the frontier. They had stolen fragments of unstable technology. She had not expected them to strike the palace itself. The raider leader stepped forward. "Queen of Light," he declared, "your empire weakens. Your time ends now." Rowan watched the scene with steady focus. The queen turned to him with urgency. "Move behind." "The barrier," she ordered. "This fight concerns my people." Rowan did not move. The raiders advanced. Several guards attempted to rise, only to be thrown back by another disruptive wave. The queen prepared to counter, but her energy faltered. The raider leader lifted his weapon toward her chest dot. At that exact moment, Rowan stepped onto the dais. The queen stared at him in disbelief. "This is not your battle," she said with controlled firmness. Rowan shook his head once. "It is now." Before the queen could respond, Rowan raised his hands, not in surrender, not in fear. In focus, a deep hum resonated through the hall. Everyone stopped. Guards froze. Raiders lowered their weapons in confusion. Even the queen felt the air shift in a way she had never sensed before. The hum grew stronger. Then Rowan changed. Light gathered around his arms. But it was not Orion light. It was human energy shaped into a form none had ever witnessed. His skin brightened with a faint glow. His eyes shifted to a depth that held power unlike anything the queen had seen. The aura around him expanded with controlled precision, pushing back the dampening fields with ease. Rowan exhaled once. The entire hall trembled. The raiders stumbled back. The queen stared at him with complete shock. For centuries, the Orions had believed humans possessed no radiant abilities. That belief had shaped policies, alliances, and assumptions. Yet here stood a human who radiated an energy that rivaled that of her own royal lineage. Not wild, not unstable, controlled, focused, silent, hidden until now. Rowan stepped down from the dais, and the floor beneath his boots vibrated with contained force. The raider leader raised his weapon, but the moment he squeezed the trigger, Rowan swept his hand sideways in a single motion. A wave of invisible force struck the raider and sent him crashing across the hall. Gasps echoed. Guards stared. The queen felt her heart pound with disbelief. The remaining raiders opened fire. Rowan moved with breathtaking speed. He redirected the blasts with his bare hands, guiding the energy into arcs that dissolved before touching any civilian. He advanced through the hall with discipline sharper than military training. He struck with precision. He protected anyone who fell. He shielded the queen when a stray blast came near her. His movements were clean and deliberate, yet charged with immense power. Within minutes, the raiders were on the ground, disarmed and incapacitated. Silence settled through the hall. Crystals along the walls flickered back to life. The emergency. Alarms dampened. Guards began to rise, staring in astonishment at the humans standing calmly among the defeated raiders. Rowan turned to the queen. His glow faded slowly until his form returned to its ordinary state. He bowed his head slightly, breathing steady and even. The queen stared at him with wide eyes. The hall waited for her reaction. Nobles watched in awe. Human envoys exchanged stunned glances. Rowan looked at the queen with quiet sincerity. "I apologize for revealing this here," he said, "but I could not stand still." The queen stepped down from the dais. She walked toward him with composed grace, though her mind raced faster than the lights pulsing through the walls. She stopped a few steps from him. "You possess strength beyond what any of us believed possible," she said. Rowan nodded once. It was not a secret by choice. My ability is uncommon among my people. Some believe it is dangerous. Some believe it is impossible. I learned to control it. I kept it hidden because the council feared it would affect negotiations. The queen held his gaze with deep consideration. She searched his expression for arrogance or deception. She found neither. Only genuine resolve and a calm honesty that matched the strength she had witnessed moments earlier. Why risk yourself for my people? She asked, when this marriage was supposed to be symbolic. Rowan glanced at the injured guards and the shaken guests. Because the moment I stepped into this hall, your people became mine to protect. He said. The words struck the queen with unexpected force. No ceremony had bound them yet. Yet his loyalty had emerged without hesitation. His power had revealed itself not for dominance and not for glory, but for protection. She felt a shift inside her, a recognition she had never anticipated. The hall's attendants began assisting the wounded. Guards carried the raiders to containment cells. Advisors hurried to secure the palace defenses. The queen and Rowan stood at the center of the now quiet hall. An advisor approached and asked whether the ceremony should be postponed. The queen looked at Rowan. He met her gaze with steady readiness. No, she said. We continue. The hall lights brightened. The throne dais shimmered. The guests took their places again, though awe still lingered in every expression. Rowan stepped back onto the dais. The queen lifted her staff. She felt her energy restored and amplified, as if Rowan's earlier surge had cleared the lingering, dampening traces. She began the vow again. This time her voice carried an added depth. Spoke of unity strengthened by truth. She spoke of peace maintained through courage. Yes,